Hello world. Welcome to a very special program of Programmers and Dragons, where a bunch of people learn how to improperly create macros for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
Joining us today is a very special guest. Actually, there are no special guests. This is a shitty program.
But there's special returning characters.
They're special returning characters. We have everyone in the party except Saruman. Saruman today has been replaced with Shakti, who's likely to replace Saruman for a long time, because the Saruman player is currently stuck in an unending cycle of carnage. We continue on our adventure from last week's riveting tale of a teleportation mishap and the start of a Disney town. So, to summarize the game for Lauren, who was unfortunately away doing other fun stuff last week, we find ourselves talking about... yes. You guys wanted to go to a hidden valley in the mountains of Cran to find a bit of the armor of the Dragon Emperor, which you knew was hidden in a hidden valley. When you went to find information about it, you found that there was a town that was nearby that produces a lot of actors. This town, called Kadal, was the focus of your teleport. But seeing how none of you had actually ever been there, Chelsea tried to teleport. Laura tried to teleport and ended up with a relatively rare teleportation mishap. You guys ended several hundred miles northeast in a frozen mountain valley, interrupting a frost giant and his herd of mammoths. After fighting the frost giant and mammoths, finding some random magic items, a random magic item, and transporting a metric shit ton of mammoth meat, you guys ended up teleporting to the closest town that Laura had actually gone to. No mishap this time. And you flew to Kadal. When you reached the gates, an old man asked if any of you danced, performed with an instrument, or sung. And when some of you said yes, he gave you some sheet music, saying that the town was performing the blacksmith's lament. It turns out that this entire town is filled with method actors who create a constant stream of storylines and drama for the great worm Brass Dragon, who lives and rules over the region. This Brass Dragon's name, Albert Einstein. No, Cadalatrix. You guys want to meet with Cadalatrix so that it can tell you how to get into the hidden valley. And you guys had been brought to the town. Ooh. I have a little map for this town. I didn't put the villagers because there's a lot of villagers and not that many, things for villagers. But there's buildings, so you might as well enjoy the buildings as I magically transport you to the town of Kadal. The Batman So. It's a warmish place, but there's still a slight sprinkling of snow. You guys are currently at the edge of town. And Saruman has gone off to scout, so she will not be with you right now. Although if you need her, she'll somehow reappear. I'll at least find an old man. The old man was giving you a tour. I'm gonna say hello to the old man.
Wow.
He's the mayor of this little town. You guys had gone into the town and got caught up in the song where Prince Ruha danced, and our dear Tiamos did a fantastic improvisation on his battle gong. The town folks' attitude towards you improved. So, you also did detect alignment on the old man, and you found that he was chaotic good. So, that brings us to present day, where the old man's giving you a tour of the town. He brings you to two of the mills. One is actually more like one is a food mill, like a grain mill, and the other seems to mill various products that are needed to constantly repaint the town, decorate things, makeup. It seems to be grinders for all kinds of cosmetics. One of the other town's major exports. He shows you a few of the buildings. There are people, but most of them are in a big crowd around the fire. You know, singing in the blacksmith's lament, which seems to be a song. If you pay a little bit of attention, it seems to be a song about the blacksmith who is in love with a seamstress, but the seamstress is already married to a man who's gone off to fight a distant war. So it's all kinds of juicy drama. And in fact, I'll draw a little shape of where the crowd generally is. Yellow circle equals crowd. They're mainly around the bonfire now. It appears like some people in their method acting do actually get stuff done, but this town is pretty much propped up by how intelligent and pretty everyone is, with some outside help, probably from the dragon, and less about how terribly efficient everyone is. So the old man, sort of, as he rambles on, he points out at buildings and says, like, "Oh, that last week, that was a quote unquote palace. We had to double its size, but it was a bit unsustainable and a bit drafty, so we put it back down to its original size after the harem scene was done." So you've come all this way just to sell mammoth meat?
No.
I mean, it's a lot of mammoth. I grant you that.
I think we need to talk to a dragon.
Oh. The old man thinks about it and says, "Which dragon are you referring to? Is this like a metaphorical dragon, or is this a symbolic dragon, or is this a half dragon, a quarter dragon, a 3/4 dragon, or like a dragon dragon?"
No, I got this. I got this. Oh, fuck. Was it a... Oh my god, it was a brass? Ian?
Yep.
Okay.
Brass.
I get brass, bronze, and copper confused.
Oh,
all the fucking
I was
things.
actually lamenting about that before the game. I've written it down in my notes and I still get it wrong.
Yeah, okay. So Lularis says, we're looking for a brass dragon by the name of Cadalatrix. Wait, did I say that right?
Yep.
Sounds about right.
I'm going to, in the Roll20, put the... just for everyone's viewing pleasure, brass dragon called Cadalatrix.
Fucking brass.
And he goes, oh, our esteemed patron. You know, he doesn't want to see everyone. He's sometimes busy with festival preparations, siring another bloodline, or generally doing what ancient dragons do. Can you tell me why you want to see him?
We're hoping for an information exchange. We have information that may interest him, and he may have some knowledge that he might be willing to trade for it.
Intriguing. I think that such a trade would be right up his alley. I do believe we'll have to send a messenger up to the right place and see if he's in here right now. Sometimes he goes off and explores. But he's likely in. It's the time of the season that he likes to be close to home. And he really does like our different variations on the blacksmith's lament. It's one of his favorites, he says. So the old man leans in and says, I think he was even the blacksmith one year. Yes, he can shapeshift, so we try to treat everyone rather nicely. Oh yes, well, our patron has shown in the past that he generally tries to give more hints on how to do better. He's not some kind of tyrant. Don't let all of what we do make it seem like we're afraid to serve him. We're happy to. We get to hone our craft on the whetstone of one of the greatest playwrights in all of existence. Half these plays are his. In fact, many of the plays that you likely enjoy, including, I think his most famous version was a version of the Fall of the Phoenix Queen. He wrote an absolutely stunning version of that. It's still done in the Capitol today, I hear from my actor friends at the Capitol. He says, puffing himself up a bit. But the old man says, please, I'll send a messenger and we'll see if he's in. And if he's in, looking at the group of you, he'll likely be interested. Also save some of the men for him. He'll likely be a good offer. He enjoys his arts, but he also enjoys you. So, do you want him to lead you to a place where you can rest, or do you just want to explore the singing Disney town yourself?
If we can get it, the script of that Fall of the Phoenix Queen might be informative, if not entirely accurate.
Yeah.
You could probably get one. Are you going to ask around town for one, or are you going to try to get it straight from the dragon?
I mean,
I'll get it from this guy probably has a copy of it. If not, maybe he'll, as our honored guest, play the whole thing for us as people, even if it's not what they're rehearsing right now.
Okay, so Well, how are you going to ask the old man? He's asked you what would you like him? What would you like to do in the meantime?
Well, I regret that I haven't actually heard that. Follow the Phoenix Queen. That
Oh,
sounds right up my
you've
alley.
never seen Isha the Phoenix Queen or Twilight of the Burn?
No.
Oh, thinks he seems almost offended. For a person who dances well, you have not seen one of the greatest dances in all of history. He says, we're going to have to try to see what can be done.
You'll have to forgive him. He's foreign.
Yes.
He looks at him and says, very foreign from here with
Gaijin.
your sand, like coming off your robes. He says, he leans into you, Frosty, and he says, do you have a way of toning down the sand? And not because the townfolk are offended, but the great patron seems to bring up mixed feelings.
Okay.
I mean, if you know, brass dragons generally like more arid desert areas, but he's chosen to settle here. But he has had more than a few bad times in deserts.
Oh, I see. I'll see
That's
what
why
I can
he
do.
moved, likely. We actually haven't heard. We've heard at least 17 versions of the story of why he moved, so we aren't sure which one's real.
Okay. The slight glow in the eyebrow piercing that is a hat of disguise, but rebranded. His whole cloak just sort of goes from being like flowing
Mystical
sand to
swirly.
just sort of a yellow silk.
Okay. Says, oh, I will have to ask you where you get your designer for that. Says, oh, you.
For any of your jewelry needs, Ruha is the only place to go.
Oh, you're Rouhanian. That explains the obnoxious amount of sand. Okay, come in. I'll bring you to the tavern, and we'll see if a few of the older dancers remember the steps to Isha, the Phoenix Queen.
Mm-hmm.
So he brings you into the center. It seems like the blacksmith's lament just finished with a bombastic solo. It appears like the lament part hasn't quite started yet.
Mm-hmm.
You get and people seem to disperse to go back, and you see the mayor go up to like a trio to a group and whisper something to them, and you just see kind of the whisper spreads quickly like wildfire, social wildfire, and the mayor brings a group to you guys as you stand near the bonfire, so you can move your people down by the bonfire. Please. I thought that you hostiled the bird, not wanting to frighten the townsfolk. But if you want to frighten the townsfolk, they'll be gossiping all sorts about your bird. Oh, yes. Well, you guys landed at the edge of town. And he was at the edge of town. But yes, the bird struts in, and you actually have people like, woo, da 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 da, and you just like ripples of conversation, and then eventually a particularly bold raven person comes up to you, and sort of says, "Why, what a magnificent bird you have there! May I ask its lineage? I happen to be an expert." Yes. Ah, how did you get the egg then? Ah, well, he sort of starts at a respectful distance, circling around the bird. And he says, well, it appears like your bird's lineage is definitely of one of the, I would say, northwestern parts of Haval. You can tell by the coloration of the tail. But yes. May I ask what someone with that kind of... He starts thinking about it. Alas, pretty much everyone here is a goddamn bard, so they have knowledge checks. So... He says, "Oh, it's nice to meet you, Lord Inquisitor. Forgive my rudeness. My name is... What did I put down his name? Yes, yeah, he has a name, guys. Watch out.
Oh, no.
Go Ann. I happen to be an actor, playwright, and bird enthusiast. He is a tank. Raven people. He's a raven person. But yes, may I ask what brings you to this sleepy little town? You aren't rumored to be particularly musically inclined. Oh, he starts looking at the campaign, and you see that he actually recognizes most of you. Not you, Tiamos. Tiamos, with his job, it's actually good that he isn't recognized. And he says, well, quite a group you have here. I know that many of my companions see waves in the general direction of the crowd. Are amazed by the bird you have brought. We don't usually get to see magnificences of nature so close. Also, such a large creature.
Calling her fat.
I'm calling her thick. No, 2 C's. No, oh, of course. Regardless, so the mayor comes back and he says, I think I have found a few people who would be willing to piece together the fragments of the play for you, and maybe even perform a dance for you tonight from Isha, the Phoenix Queen.
Wonderful.
And he says, "Oh, Isha, the Phoenix Queen, Goan, sort of. Oh, Isha, the Phoenix Queen. I didn't realize your group was so sophisticated. It's one of the great and ancient plays."
Mm-hmm. That's definitely why. Yeah, I'm sophisticated. That's why I thought of this. Mm-hmm.
Oh, roll a bluff check.
No, that was meta. Why?
If your character actually believes they're sophisticated, you don't need to roll a bluff check.
I mean, he is a prince. Come on, he's sophisticated as fuck. He's royalty. By definition, he's sophisticated. He believes that by definition, being royal is being sophisticated.
Okay, and Lauren, does your mic work? Lauren? Oh, you're mute.
Is it working now?
It is.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that you weren't trying to say stuff and us not hear it. Just because I heard everyone else react to various things. But that's okay. We'll go on. So, effectively, a few hours pass. A messenger has been sent. You guys are treated to a nice dinner. If you guys actually want to eat. I don't know how many of you have rings of sustenance.
I don't.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but you don't have to. So eating becomes a choice.
Mm-hmm.
True.
It seems like the fact that you want to meet the great patron has found its way in the few hours of disseminating through the crowd, and you find yourselves you find beautiful, intelligent, and wise people all coming up to you in different ways, trying to figure out why you want to see the great patron, because everyone here is an insufferable gossip. So, Frosty
Mm-hmm.
and Shakti, I
Yes.
need you two to roll will saves
Oh
during
boy.
the course of the evening.
All right. I'm glad I bought that thing of +2 will. That looks like an all right save.
Just forgot what I looked for.
Yeah, maybe.
It'll be fine.
Oh,
So, Frosty, do you have anything? If enchantment magic hits you, do you have anything special with that?
Enchanting magic on me. I have better saves against divination, but nothing to help me
Nothing with
against being
enchantment.
enchanted.
Okay. So you do find that there's some people, like over the evening, both of you realize that someone in the crowd tried to make you, I guess, more loose-tongued,
Ah,
and but you resisted the magic that would have you more blabbering
excellent.
about your plans. But I guess you two could roll perception checks to try to see who was acting strange.
All right, everyone gets to see my beautiful perception. Check again.
could I also?
Yeah.
Oh, you can roll, Lauren.
Could I also do detect magic?
Yes, you can. Frosty, it's a miracle.
So for that, I just roll my caster level, right?
Don't worry. You don't need to roll anything for the detect magic. You can roll your you can roll your perception check first. Yeah. Realize that.
Oh,
Where is it? I realize I should have some music playing on as you guys are in this sort of party atmosphere. Yes. I thought that it would be nice to have going. So, you find yourselves in. So with your perception checks, you find that it was both of you were targeted by a woman who seems to be playing a seamstress, but as the night goes on, her clothing gets better than what a seamstress would normally have. And when you cast Detect Magic, there's illusion and enchantment magic everywhere. It seems as you concentrate on your Detect Magic, there is a whole bunch of low-level illusion and enchantment magic, which everyone in town is trying to make each other like each other more. Like everyone has cosmetic, illusionary changes. Almost everyone has some kind of like charisma enhancing or intelligence enhancing item, if they can afford it. And it seems like everyone has just low-level magic.
Mhm.
I can't actually hear the Fiddles McGee sound on my end, but I'm glad I can hear it through Lauren. So, no, I just hear the very slightest hints of it. I just hear like a small like quarter second of a bagpipe somewhere. It's perfectly fine, Lauren. You don't need to feel bad about that. I'm just glad the music is getting through to you guys. Because I've heard that song a lot. So, there's a woman in a red dress that seems to be the source of trying to make you guys talk.
We're in the Matrix.
What did the Swiss clockmaker say to the broken clock? We have ways of making you talk. Oh. Thank you, Matt. I need validation from someone.
No, I'm going to give him a dose of the old mind reader. Let me actually look that up because I don't have it written anywhere. It's a mistake.
That is a mistake. So,
Yeah.
they have to roll a will save against you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if 20 is good enough.
Okay.
Because I think it's 10 plus half your effective sorcerer level, which is 9.
Access to tech
which
knowledge.
is, 4. Then plus so 14 plus your charisma modifier, which is...
What level spell is this? This is level 2 spell for detect magic, so it would be a 20 is the save DC.
Oh, they rolled a 20, so Defender wins. Sadly,
Okay.
the detect thoughts barely fails.
All right. Do I have another chance throughout the night?
You have another chance throughout the night.
I'll roll again. Okay.
Nope.
They really make it this time.
And the only virtue that you can do this multiple times is that they do not realize you're doing this because you are way too subtle with your magic casting. So, the dance. The mayor comes to you and says that in honor of you bringing so much meat to the village and wanting to see the great patron, they are going to show you 3 of the major dances from Isha, the Phoenix Queen.
Okay.
They're going to show you one from the first act, one from the second act, and one from the third act. The first act is of the rise of the Phoenix Queen. And it starts off slow, but generally has like a positive, upbeat kind of vibe. Evidently one of the people is dressed in what appears to be a bird, like a winged regalia. And there appears to be one person who's actually a phoenix and one person who's the queen. And then a bunch of people. It appears like the dance actually, I don't know how well you guys actually interpret dance. So either roll perception or perform dance to understand what's happening.
Okay. Can you sense the motive of their dancing?
Oh, I guess sense motive would make more sense because they aren't trying to pretend. They're concealing something. They're literally dancing for your sake. So sense motive or perform dance.
Would Would perform oratory work or just dance?
There is no narrator, sadly. So this is what you would call a ballet. So kind of like the Firebird. No one? Okay. So, pearls before swine. Actually, let's see.
Spider pig. Spider pig.
Okay. There actually is some music from the Stravinsky Firebird. So I'm just going to play that.
Appears to be
Can
one
you guys
note.
hear that?
No? A little bit.
Yep, I can hear it.
Okay. Okay. Is this an acceptable volume level?
Yeah.
Okay. So it appears like there's enough bards in the settlement that they just have like ghost instruments playing. There are a few real people as well, and so Act 1 is effectively you guys interpret it enough to see. Strangely enough, so most of you get the general gist that it's the Phoenix Queen going around trying to form her own larger empire/kingdom by subjugating people after having been gifted by the Phoenix god 3 items of power. Act 2 is when she finally forms her own kingdom, then comes into conflict with the next kingdom. With another rising kingdom, the Bay Empire. And the third act is her, and she dies at the end of Act 2, but at the beginning of Act 3 is reborn. And the tragedy is that every time she tries to further her cause, she ends up dying and losing more and coming back and dying and losing more. And by the end of the third act, she is but a single ember from which there was once a grand flame. And effectively the last dance of it is very it goes from big and bombastic to very quiet, and then there's only like a single instrument that plays until it just ends. All the people performing it are fantastic. Like they're reaching DC 25s, no problem. And so it's a very memorable performance. The mayor, after you guys see it, does say that they'll likely expect some kind of compensation for the show. Be it in mammoth meat or in gold or in gossip or a performance of your own. But for Snake and Matt, what you notice about the dance is that there's the narrative of the rise, fall, and death and rebirth, But they don't actually show any of her servants dying and being reborn and dying and being reborn. Only the Phoenix Queen herself. Which you know isn't exactly how the scepter works, according to the Baelnord. Or at least it seems a bit foolish to use the scepter on yourself, if you know you're just going to be driven insane. But maybe that's why it's a tragedy.
Well, you're only driven insane if you die, and if you die regular, then... So it's kind of a...
But it also appears like the orb in this one is shown to be an egg rather than an orb. And the egg is what the Phoenix Queen hopes to unleash the actual, like, her own Phoenix, rather than the god Phoenix who comes in Acts 1 and gives her the gifts. But the orb or egg or whatnot. If you ask, do you ask the mayor about like different versions of this play? Because you said there's been different versions.
I guess, yeah.
That.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Well, how exactly would you ask? Oh, thank you. Thank you for being an outside audience. Sometimes with all of us being performers, it's hard to have someone sit back and just honestly enjoy what we do without having a critique in the back of their mind. Oh, he thinks back on and says, yes, there is. There's one where, in fact, the queen does not enter the cycle of the Phoenix's cycle, but she forces her servants to. And eventually, your servants... the ending of the play is actually different in that one. Her servants explode and die and explode and die, and eventually she gets engulfed by the flame. But because she never did that unto herself, she does not survive her servants' deaths. It's seen in that version, she is generally portrayed as more of a tyrant than a puppet of fate, as in the one you just saw. That one was one of the ancient variations. If you're interested in the variations, the Great Patron would know a great deal more, since he's the one that originally wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
And has kept a keen eye on anyone else trying to perform. Actually, everyone, you can roll a perception check during the performance, I'm going to say.
Performance and dance, or just perception
During
and dance? Perception?
Your perception would have been during the dance.
Okay.
So, well, Tiamos and Chelsea, Tiamos and Lilara, notice that there do seem to be people who are just, and Laura and Shakti seem to notice that there are people staring more at you than the performance and your reaction to the performance rather than the actual performance itself. Snake, you notice nearing the back, there appears to be a tanned, rather large human who seems to be watching the dance and like muttering under his breath or shaking his head or nodding in approval. Seems like they had a judge in the very far back. someone who wasn't watching you, but actually watching the performance with a keen, dissecting eye. You notice it because it just seems a little bit out of it. Compared to the others, it stood out. It seems as the performance came to a close, he's still at the bar area, just peering around, trying to pretend he isn't listening in and eavesdropping on other conversations.
Was the lady in the red dress part of the performance?
Yes, she actually was. She was one of the minor dancers.
Okay.
It seems like her role alternated between soldier and servant, and generally person subject of the Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
The Phoenix Queen herself is actually one of the older dancers in the community. Very experienced. A kind of a red-skinned elf.
Going to ask the mayor that we've been talking to.
Mm-hmm.
They could pick out that one person that was an extra he found particularly interesting and go and talk to her or bring her here so we could talk to her and give her our particular applause or commendations, compliments.
Oh, well, I can bring part of the cast here. He looks to you and he sort of says, I'm sure with the right words she might take a liking to you. The mayor summons someone. They go to the gaggle dancers who likely made their way backstage to demakify themselves, denude themselves of makeup. Eventually, the woman in the red dress and a few of the other dancers are brought before it as a group. The person who played the Phoenix Queen says, how did you enjoy our performance, lords and ladies?
It was excellent, of course. And pretty much I'm just going to go through regular pleasantries for this whole conversation, waiting for the lady in the red dress to try something in front of Moscus and his stony lightning eyes.
You find yourself in a as the other dancers are talking, and as you start talking a little bit of the history and how did they get here, and it's nice and pleasant conversation. The lady in the red dress kind of goes up to you, Frosty, and sort of says, you're from. You appear to be from Ruha.
Oh, that's
I
correct.
can tell by the features.
Is that so?
Yes. She says, I do believe it is a courtesy in Ruhan to shake hands. She extends her hand.
Okay. So we're both basically just gonna go and use charm person on each other at the same time. Or actually, there's something better I could use. Let me look at my list.
You're making a list, checking it twice.
I mean, for all I could just do like a vampiric touch and murder her, but I don't think that's quite the right cause. Just right here.
Probably a bad idea.
Okay.
You don't want it to be in the tavern.
Yes. We'll go with Charm Monster, which is a DC 23.
Yep.
That works on people. It's just a higher DC. Yeah. And I'll roll my will save, and we'll have a fun time.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what you get when you fight the master at his game.
Everyone witnessing this can roll a sense motive and a perception to try to figure out what just went on between the two of them.
Oh, and I need to roll my bluff and my other thing. Hold on a moment.
Okay.
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 Look at you guys. Okay, so you guys have to beat both my bluff with your sense motive and my sleight of hand with your perception. So this is my bluff.
You rolled well.
And I don't think I need to roll again because
But you got Tiamos Tiamos notices something's a bit off because he gets one but not the other.
Ah.
Snake, you notice this woman just tried to cast a spell on Frosty. Through touch. When you look into Frost, it doesn't. You would have to wait to see if Frosty starts doing anything weird.
Well, the prince says, "Well, you've been to Ruha. Please, I need to know everything about you. Please, just tell me. Tell me everything. What's your secret? Tell me everything."
She just starts blurting stuff out. Like, it turns out that she's like, I grew up in a desert border town with Ruha on the plains of Xantar's side. And she just starts explaining as her childhood and like how she eventually was found to have some magical talent, was trained to be pleasant company, and then eventually when she found her freedom, came up here to learn to hone her craft so that she could live a good life.
Ah.
I turn to Moscus and say, "Don't think you should trust him." The prince.
Oh no. What could possibly be?
Yes. She introduced herself as Zoom in.
Zoom in.
Zoom in.
Yeah. I did notice.
The prince has a 1,000 megawatt smile. The spells just reflect off it. So they get dragged off into a bit of a side conversation while the rest of you talk with the rest of the cast. Eventually things the cast goes back to what they were doing, and Moscas, you notice that the large man who was watching the performance seems to be like heading towards the exit. And the man he seems to have sensed you before he even saw you, and turns around smoothly and says, Why, hello there, stranger. What brings you to these parts? Well, I saw the bird. I didn't know it belonged to you. Roll sense motive.
Wow.
Yep. It seems like he honestly didn't know. And says, whoa, I am a bit of a, I guess, dance aficionado. So when I heard that they were performing the parts from Isha, the Phoenix Queen, I thought that I would come down and see how the performances went. Yes, I do. This place is my home. I imagine. I noticed the meat. Your bird has great discipline for not just eating it all. I can only imagine. A well-fed bird is a happy bird. Now, okay. Frosty, you're already kind of preoccupied, so move your laundry. Now, the large man says, are you much for... Do you enjoy dances, or do you more prefer music? Or he looks at you and, like, the various... Do you actually have any, like, symbols of your office on your clothing? Okay. Or wherever your duties to your goddess take you. Ah. I would hope so. I imagine you encounter many creative types in your line of work. Not of you, but definitely of your god. Oh, for most of my life. It's been a long time. But I find... he smiles and he says, I must be off. I have to prepare for my own part in the seamstress's dilemma, the second part of the blacksmith's lament for tomorrow. Oh, I happen to be the seamstress's father figure, trying to tell her to stay loyal to her husband, whereas she desires the young, strong, very hot blacksmith. Hot in multiple ways, you must understand. I get to be more of a paternal figure this time.
I'm back.
A guardian would. Yes, I was once the blacksmith when I was younger and prettier, he says, smiles. He still looks quite good for an older human. Oh, old enough not to care. He smiles. It's a disarming smile. Yeah, you can. He honestly doesn't seem to care how old he is, but it is definitely some kind of... You rarely find someone so generally evasive in a conversation. Yes. Oh, yes. I'm sure we'll meet again. He smiles and he walks out the door. Roll a caster level check. It appears like he has the same aura as the mayor. Yeah. Chaotic good. I assume you're doing scanned alignment.
Do you get the magnitude of their alignment from that, or just that
Yes. They have one? And it appears like it is. He is the. Is it no alignment or no? It's not no alignment. It's detect evil. Yeah. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you the right information. It is a faint aura of chaos and good.
Wait. The same aura.
Yeah, the same
I know
strength.
what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not going to tell anyone though, because this is going to be fun.
Remember, metagaming knowledge is not fun.
Nope.
So, and I guess you go back and do you just generally enjoy your evening? I mean, you're literally in a town of artists and pretty much you. Yeah. Yeah. So zoom in. Has taken quite a liking to you, Frosty. Mainly because her attitude is now the highest it can be.
Yes.
So, through your
Because
charm
you forced her to.
magic.
All right. Have I got from her why exactly she was trying to convince us, or is that not part of the
It turns
story
out
so
that
far?
it turns out if you kind of eventually, if you like, bring her to a quiet area and sort of ask her about that, she does apologize and she said, "I'm sorry, I tried to cast detect desire, or like a no desire, so I could know what you wanted. I just wanted to know if you meant ill to the town or if you meant ill to me. I'm a bit worried when outsiders come in."
Can I roll sense? Well, I guess I probably don't need to, but roll sense motive anyways.
You can. Oh no, there's so many liars here.
Sense motive is only 10, really? Oh, okay.
You might need a magic item to prop that up.
11.
Woo!
Nice.
She seems very sincere.
Okay. Well, what else could I get from this person? If I rejoin the rest of the group. See, because with my meta knowledge, I would know that there's a suspicious person in the corner of the room staring at everyone, but Ruha doesn't know that himself. Okay. Oh, well then. Okay.
Okay, he's probably just a ranger.
That's fair. All right. I don't think I have anything more for this person, but they are charmed for the next 10 days, so if I,
Oh my god.
if I need anything...
Charmed isn't mind controlled. Charmed is they view you in a very positive light.
and I can suggest a course of action, a reasonable one, and they have to beat my charisma to do anything. Or to refuse. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, as you think about that, the morning comes. And you guys collectively find your... you were given a room at the inn. I assume that probably everyone just take off like 2 gold overall for paying for the performance and the drinks and the
Okay.
inn.
Is that from our equipment gold or for our
Equipment
non-magic gold? Okay.
Non-magic gold. It's a mundane expense. Yep, so just it's 2 gold. You guys are treated very well, and remember, you guys are effectively the 0.01%. Well, that is very important. So the mayor comes to you. The mayor sends a messenger to you saying to meet the mayor at the gate leading out of the town. And when you do so, however long it takes, you find the mayor. The mayor seems to be in more like hiking clothes, if you would. He says, we're going up the mountain. It appears like the great patron is ready to receive you today. We'll have to leave soon so that we make it up there. And except he then looks at your bird and says, the trip might be quick. He nods. He says, the territory up to the great patron's cave is quite safe, but it would be quicker. Does everyone pile on the bird?
For sure.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We might want to take some.
Oh, but for the actual... Yeah.
That's like a car's worth.
This was 6 tons.
I thought
This
it was
is
ton.
3 cars worth of meat.
I thought a car was
Yeah.
like 2,000 pounds, but I don't know.
That'll be 1 ton then.
That is a ton.
Yeah, but I thought, never mind.
So we have 8 cars worth.
Which would be a car worth. Wait, you said 16,000 or 1,600?
1,000.
Oh, I thought you said 1,600 first, and I was like, Oh, can we just rename your bird Appa?
It's from Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's the flying bison that
With
takes
6
the group
legs.
around.
And a platypus
Wait,
tail.
you haven't seen Avatar?
No,
What?
because he thinks it's stupid.
Well, tell him he's wrong.
It's
Yes.
very childish to begin with, yes, I agree.
I'll somehow still...
That's very sad.
I'll fix it? Oh, I'll fix you? Is that what you meant? Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
I'll fix you.
So you start flying up on the bird. As you fly up the mountain. Ding, ding, ding. You probably store most of... I would say 2/3 of your meat somewhere in town, and then you bring the rest up to the dragon. As you see the winding path that you would have gone up. There are some kind of rickety walkways, and there was actually there was at one point someone standing in the middle of a bridge who likely would have asked some kind of riddle or question or whatnot, but you bypassed that.
Too rich to walk.
Yeah, you're too rich to have to deal with.
We have our own private jet, which is actually a bird.
You guys get up to the top, or to where there seems to be a large cave entrance, and the mayor says, if you sit down on this platform out here," he points towards a flat area outside the cave, "and then I will say an introduction, and then I will let the great patron have his chat with you, and I will stay respectfully outside. I know how this kind of thing works." Now, as you you land and you all disembark from the bird. Do you actually have like a rope ladder or something attached to the saddle for easy embarkation, debarkation?
Slide off the back.
It's like it's 4 times the size of a horse, of a large horse.
Maybe you slide down its neck. I just sort of put its head on the ground for a bit.
If you would be okay with being picked up by a beak that's bigger than you. Mozgus is just used to it. He knows he doesn't get it. You guys make it up to the cave. The mayor stands before the cave and sort of clears his throat. "O great patron, Kidolatrix, I bring to you 6 petitioners and their bird that seek your knowledge and wisdom and bring gifts of gossip and mammoth meat. Please look upon..." I won't do Bridge of Khazad music while this is happening. "Please look upon their entreaties with favor." The mayor then stands back. There seems to be a small hut up here that he just opens the door, starts a small fire, and just goes in, settling in for the long haul. Coming out of the cave, there's a booming voice, and it goes, "Who be ye, petitioners of the great patron Kidolatrix? Explain yourselves, or at least your names." "Should I be pleased, you will be allowed inside my cave." If you know what I mean. No, he doesn't.
Oh man, that was worth the.
Dragons can mate with anything. So
Even your giant bird. And you can have a half bird, half dragon.
isn't that the goal?
Actually, kind of yes. Well, that's this bird becoming half dragon instead of. Yeah. Just gotta find enough food to Keep them all.
So, please, in character, Bah.
Okay. The prince goes down the line, introducing people, starting with himself. I'm Prince Ruha. This is Jimmy, my trusty sidekick.
That's why I said 6, because I assumed Ceremon's in the bag. If you aren't here, you're in the bag.
Wait, I thought she was scouting.
Scouting, or yeah, she's scouting.
like
She's
that.
in the bag. She's alive.
more-
She's dead. She's a cat. Who knows?
Right now, she is a state of mind.
She's a state of mind.
It's the lovely Shakti and Lalara. This is Tiamos. He's kind of handsome fellow himself. And this large slab of granite is named Mosgus. Okay. We've come to talk to you about a certain artifact you may know the location of. We've come bearing wonderful gifts of all sorts.
Okay. Okay, so a booming voice says, "Ah, artifact hunters. I haven't had those in a long time. Please come in. Your presence was foretold."
The way he said I haven't had those in a while almost makes it sound like it's a certain kind of meal, which is a bit unsettling, but
I'm sure
It's
it's
fine.
fine.
You enter into the cave and you find what appears to be a giant mountain of pillows and blankets and quilts, and sitting on top of it, looking like a pleased cat, is let me see if I can't find a picture to just throw at you guys. Opening. Oh, that image is way too small. Close enough. Let me link it in Roll20. This is someone, or you could just Google search brass dragon photo.
I like how the wings are part of the tail. That's
Yep, the wings part of its tail. This is a very big creature. So you know how, so you have your bird. This is twice as big as your bird. It's gargantuan. A crest of horns sweeps back from the head of this dragon, leading to a long neck and a serpentine brass body. It is sitting kind of like a cat, but with its first claws kind of tapping its front claws tapping the stone as all of you get in. As you get into the cave, you also notice it's quite warm in this cave. The dragon's giving off quite a bit of heat. And he goes, "Please, it is good to see. Please first bask in my magnificence. And then, secondly,
what do I roll to bask?
you know what? You can
Performance?
roll however you want. You could do a bluff check if you aren't really basking. Or
Oh,
you
no,
could
I'm-
do a proper diplomacy check if you actually are trying to show the deepest respect you can.
Okay, let's do diplomacy then. I'm gonna bask the shit out of this guy.
Diplomacy.
Yep.
Also, how many
You
of you
heard it
know
here first.
Draconic? as a language.
I do.
That's okay. It's speaking common because, it's a nice guy. So Tiamos, you do like a proper bow. You actually do a greeting in Draconic to it, impeccable Draconic, and it seems greatly pleased as you kind of show it your supplication. Frosty, you also do you do something similar, but just slightly less graceful and without the Draconic. And it just seems pleased to have people that acknowledge that it's superior.
Mhm.
It goes now. Please. We should start with some pleasantries, unless you're on a very strict timetable.
Of course not.
Okay. Yeah.
we both.
It goes well. As you see, I've been ruling for a very long time in this area. The Emperor's court actually acknowledges me as a member of it, even if it doesn't give me much power. But I don't need power from the Emperor's court. I'm quite content with the power I have here. Smiles. Now, its smile, it definitely knows how to do the facsimile of a human smile, but the fact that the smile is bigger than you is a little bit disconcerting. There's a small part of all of your hindbrains that is screaming at you, "Why are you here?" And any of you who roll Knowledge Arcana, people who have it, that includes you, Chelsea. You have
We
a
should
kick-ass
run
Knowledge
away.
Arcana.
Run away. Wow.
And Lauren,
Boy, I suck.
Oh.
So, Chelsea, this is building off your previous knowledge checks for
Okay.
everyone else. So, in ascending order, actually, Tiamos also rolled a 1. You don't know that much about brass dragons, and you are actually now kind of afraid to say what you think you know. You really don't want to offend this thing.
I just know its language.
You know its language. Frosty, Prince Ruha knows that brass dragons are usually found in deserts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit strange to find someone in the cold north.
Yeah,
In
we
fact-
heard one of the NPCs gave us the spiel on the thing coming up north. After
and he
Oh,
says
the same
that you also know that it dislikes the color blue because blue dragons, their evil counterparts, are likely blue. A certain shade of blue would remind them of it. As for Chelsea and Snake, both of you know that a dragon of this size is actively suppressing the aura of fear that it can project. And in the brass dragon's case, the aura of fire it can produce. And Shakti, looking at this particular dragon, you know that it actually has the power of, it can cast spells like a very powerful sorcerer. So it likely has the ability to do most of what It has great inbuilt sorceress ability. And it can also summon a genie.
Oh, what? A genie?
A genie. You know that very old dragons of the brass dragon type can summon a genie once per day. You've heard rumors that it can.
Huh.
And knowing is half the battle. So you guys see it sort of. It does a like click of its claws on the table floor, and it goes, well, it goes through pleasantries. It asks all of you where you're from and what, generally, like your name, where you're from, what do you generally do, small talk things. It's trying to get a read on you guys.
Can I make a ice dragon replica of it?
Yes, you can. I would have you roll a craft sculpture
Okay.
as you create ice and then create a dragon form of it.
I have this.
It seems intrigued by what you're doing.
Boom.
And then it seems very pleased at its likeness. It goes, oh my, you even caught some of the... How my crest on the left is slightly different from my crest on my right. Ooh. I could just snatch you right up, right? I could snatch you up right now. No wonder the Emperor likes to keep company. It says. Now, most of you don't actually work together, it says. So I am wondering greatly why you might be here. After which artifact? It delicately takes the statue as it and places it on its like upturned claw, so it can gaze at it a bit more as it asks you this question.
Oh, you know we're here to inquire about the artifacts?
Well, you said that at the beginning of the case.
Oh shit, sorry.
But you didn't specify what kind of artifact. There are many artifacts that you might think that one as intelligent and learned as I know.
Well, this one's supposedly kind of close. A piece of the armor of the Dragon King. Or Dragon Emperor? Dragon Emperor.
Oh! So you're looking for some of the armor of the Dragon Emperor, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking for a breastplate or a helmet? It smiles.
A
All
book,
of it?
actually.
No.
Its smile widens, and it goes, oh. It delicately puts the statue down to suddenly look at you with a lot more interest. You haven't just read it in some sort of book, but you actually know something. Well, my day grows more interesting all the time. It smiles and it says, so how did you come here then?
By bird.
Yes, but it nods and it says it like it seems to accept that it let itself into that. And then it goes, so you suspect one of the pieces of this artifact is nearby.
Mm-hmm.
Intriguing. Because the last time anyone asked about this artifact was 400 years ago. And I did my damnedest to remove all mortal knowledge of where it was.
I don't know if the person who told us was entirely mortal.
Oh, would you mind telling me who told you?
Sure. It's not my problem after this, anyways. The Baelnorn is, there's an old archive in Haval, and inside it lies a Baelnorn protecting it. In times such as these, he's quite taken to giving us what we want to know. Or giving adventures. It did kind of, but that wasn't quite the intention.
Oh,
Not quite.
where do I start? No, he doesn't go into a musical. Not yet. He smiles and he goes, well, if the Baelnorn told you that old gossip, then she must have thought that you weren't at least batshit crazy. Or at least not in the kind that she wouldn't want to make use of. Now, it taps its claws on the cave floor. The sound seems almost amplified by the way this cavern has been dug out of the mountain. And then it goes, well, you see, I placed the book. Well, you see, I don't particularly care for the armor of the Dragon Emperor because it helps turn you into a dragon, and I'm already as dragon can be.
I can see that.
Thank you. It preens. But you must understand that it was likely part of a hoard that I once took. From a extremely evil blue dragon named Jabedak. Let me put that into Roll20. Now Jabedak, let me tell you this in a story. So it almost like it takes a small with a click of its claws, you see small torches just light up the entire cavern, bring the light level to a more acceptable level. And it just takes a giant clawful of pillows and blankets and lays it out in front of it. Please sit. He also then he spends about 3 seconds focusing and a creature standing nearly twice as tall as a human, though their lower torso trails away into a vortex of mist and wind, appears before the dragon. Roll a knowledge the planes.
Oh.
I don't think I do.
Oh,
wait, I do.
I am the worst at
Tiamos,
knowledge
you're
checks.
just. This is not good for you today.
I got
Aw.
nothing.
Oh, oops.
I should just start taking 10 on all knowledge checks.
You know, it might be good. So, Chelsea and Lauren, you know that this is not just a normal Djinn, but this is a noble Djinn who can grant wishes to mortals. This dragon's evidently really trying to show off. And it goes, please, could you create some but it can only grant 3 wishes to a non-genie that captures them. It seems like the dragon has no need. It says, could you please create some food and wine for our guests? And it just nods to the dragon, and the feast is created before you. Wine is, and then it creates it takes a particularly large bowl that the dragon brings out from the pillow hoard it has, and it fills it up with wine. Like a giant keg's worth, just to fill it. It's kind of like, the little sake cups?
Mhm.
It has a bowl that, and it just sort of, it's a gargantuan-sized sake cup for it to drink. And then the genie sort of fades away, and it goes, well, now that we have this, let us begin the story. It talks somehow for 3 hours about the long and troubled history it had with this other great worm blue dragon, and the various crimes it committed, the various things that the noble Kidalatrix did to stem the tide of evil that flowed from it. And it ends the story with, eventually I came up north, and the beast Jabidak felt it necessary to disturb me in my town. It came and attacked my town with storm and lightning, and I finally took it into a small abyssal valley that my cave eventually connects to. And I obliterated its body so that it may never feel warmth again, and bound its soul into the valley, along with its hoard, so that it may never feel the touch of its gold again, and it may never harm anyone who didn't foolishly seek it. I have neutered it in all of its desires, but it cannot pass into the afterlife truly until I wish it.
Hardcore.
So metal.
Yes, it goes, if you wish to go into the valley of Jabidak, you may. You will find the book you're looking for. I have no need of it, and I think it would be more interesting to see you try to get it through the valley rather than so. Jabidak still lives, but as a spirit, and it can possess things that enter the valley, but it cannot use the full power that it once had. I liked it being able to do something, but not nearly to its full extent.
Can it possess us?
The longer you stay in the valley, the more susceptible you get to it. But if you don't decide to live there for more than if you get through it in a few days, you'll be fine.
It's good.
And then if any of you are actually possessed, if you leave the valley, its influence will be unable to touch you, because its influence, like its soul, has been bound to the valley. And the next time I will go into that valley will be when I am ready to pass on to the great judgments of the afterlife, and I will tell it that it will be unable to do so for as long as my enchantments remain strong. Eternity is a long time, but I'm willing to let it wait a few thousand years before it has to meet its final fate, to meet its final judgment. But if you, over the 3 hours, it explained the many crimes that led the dragon to view this as an appropriate and just thing. You guys don't need to think it's just, but according to this dragon, it thinks it is just. So, do you still want to go into the valley?
Yes.
I understand there hasn't been enough kill, die. So we can get to the combat section of this little thingamajig. So it says, well, I will let you into the valley if you can pay me a suitable price. All you know is that the valley is somewhere in the back of my lair, but it has a gate that will only open with a command word only I know. If the spirit of this monster can't get through it, I don't imagine you will either.
You say it's a valley. We have a bird. Could we not fly over your gate?
It smiles and it says, when I say valley, yes, it can see the sky, but if you try to fly over, you'd only find mountain. It is to help stop the creature from ever being able to escape by, let's say, possessing a passive bird. I made it its own demi-plane.
Ah. Well then, we have...
Teleportation magics won't work outside of it, but will work within.
We have meat, and we have juicy gossip from the capital.
Ah! Now, I of course appreciate the meat. It is nice to have something freshly killed brought straight to my door. But I will want to give me this gossip, and I will tell you its price. I will be fair, of course. I did not make it this far by being dishonored.
Okay. Now, the prince is an incorrigible gossip, as that's basically one of his class skills. But I don't really know what information would be particularly useful or interesting that he wouldn't already know, so... Okay. Could come in handy to have a dragon aware of watching the situation. Perhaps he'll...
Also, could be dangerous.
It's a good dragon, though.
Yeah.
But as you've seen, its sense of morality is somewhat aligned with yours, but it's old and self-righteous.
Well, worst case scenario, it attacks the capital, and don't think that would amount to much.
It also
But best case scenario, if the Emperor decides to attack this little kindly village, he'll have a head start.
It also could decide the Emperor that we know, just out of for the good of the Empire.
So it could decide what?
It could decide to tell the Emperor that we know about the list.
Oh.
Because someone else could give it juicy gossip,
Hmm.
and I might think it. Ah, it must be very juicy then. Well, if it is truly earth-shatteringly secretive gossip, then I will swear upon. He lists several draconic gods. And he looks at yours. I guess Desna as well. To Destra. Destria.
He seems
Close.
very.
He gets it. He gets it right the first time. To not speak of it with anyone else other than myself. Because sometimes I do like to speak to myself. I am, in fact, the greatest conversationalist I know. In fact, at one point I created a simulacrum of myself so I could just talk with myself. But I found myself to be a bit too arrogant for myself. So I decided there's only room in this world for one Cadalatrix. So I sent my simulacrum to go do things. Go do things in another part of the world where I wouldn't have to worry about it. It's probably off somewhere doing something.
Huh.
But beyond the range of Empire. Now. Oh god. Turns out that yours is just the continent to the far like east. There's an ocean between it. Yeah. Now, he says, then if you want to make sure, we'll make this a contract. I know how much you Empire types love contracts. You guys start hammering out the terms, and the basic thing is that for the next piece of gossip that you state is the gossip that is to be hidden by this contract, it will not willingly tell another mortal of this piece of information. And in exchange, it will tell you how to get through the valley, or get to the valley and open the gate.
Yeah.
Yep.
As you tell him, he just seems to go, oh, this is the most exciting thing that's happened ever since the syphilis. I think it was 4 emperors back. It was particularly malevolent magical syphilis. But I have not seen an emperor be unable to be cured by the voice. And the black summoner also struck down. Ooh. I had heard something had happened to him. This is sufficient. I will honor this contract, and I will tell you how to open the door. He says, he effectively gets up and starts bringing and motions for you to follow. He changes back. He shapeshifts into a particularly into like a, I guess, draconically scaled dryad centaur kind of thing, just so it can get through some of the smaller tunnels easier. It's like like bottom half of a dragon, top half of a particularly like bountiful woman.
Oh.
And it goes, please, let us go. Oh yes, let me tell you a story about how I learned about this form. And it starts going into a tale where it met a dryad in some distant past, and it had the dryad would only speak with other dryads, so it tried a whole bunch of tricks to look like a dryad, but eventually just had to shapeshift into a dryad, but it was young and foolish and only shapeshifted half the way. And he says, yes, that is when I learned that I could shapeshift genders as well. I've now been a father, a mother, a who's it and what's it of many different lineages, half dragons, 3/4 dragons. I'm sure that there's a few people in a lot of lines that have a little bit of my greatness rub off. He says, I've even slept with things like your bird before.
Oh my god.
Oh, the raven tried to proposition your bird. he laughs.
She was even, or was there even a girl or guy? Sorry.
A guy.
He was even looking at her tail feathers. If you know what I mean.
Oh my. Oh, it is just raining interesting things today.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How do things stay so interesting if you live for so long?
Well, you see, it says as it leads you down another court. I have found that some people believe that you go and interesting things happen and you seek them, or that interesting things are beyond what you do. But I realized for myself, after a long life and after some several hundred years of terrible boredom, that I had to manufacture my own happiness. And that's why I founded the town down there. They do repetitions of a cycle, but each one of them, because of their short, fleeting mortal lives, tends to make things more interesting. They add their own variations. I've seen so many blacksmiths and seamstresses, and that performance of Isha, the Phoenix Queen, was one that they've changed some of the details of my magnificently choreographed dance. But it was interesting to see their permutations. I make life interesting for myself by creating an atmosphere, an environment that allows myself to be surprised. There are some things that I thought that would never happen, and then the Baelnorn, that gossipy bitch, ended up overturning what I thought was right. And it's interesting. Also, the Baelnorn happens to be one of the few things that I've actually talked with in some time, and that is actually rather nice to converse with. Well, while in dragon form, I can converse with many people in many different forms. It says, sort of showing its centaur dryads. But yes, I keep myself entertained. I haven't gone mad because I make sure that I care about the small people. And also making sure I keep up on all of the gossip down. And he starts going into some of the small people, just like the little bits of gossip. Like, did you hear that there's a rumor that someone was like cheating on someone else? It's just funny. It has created a town and academy of beautiful, intelligent, cunning people who it can occasionally go down in another form and cause drama and just watch it unfold.
Created its own reality TV show.
Effectively, it has. And all it needs to do is make sure that outside interference is minimal and slightly controlled. The last time I had an army invade, I had to go all full roar, I'm a big scary dragon, and kill enough of them that they ran. But then that inspired me for a new play, and then we had method acting of people playing at invading, and the star-crossed love of an invader and invadee learning to love one another despite the fact that they had to be apart. Oh, the drama was beautiful. Some people even forget their method act. They truly believe it.
What's going on in Lauren's part of the universe?
Comedy. So it smiles and it goes, well, I'm sure we'll have a chat when you get back, if you get back alive. Say hello. It says through this next corridor, you'll find yourself before a great sand pit, which I created just to make sure that whenever I opened the door, our dear Jabadak could see the sands of his home. I imported from his home just so he could see it but never touch it.
Where is he from?
Oh, he's from the western reaches of what's now considered Ruha.
Ah.
Yes, that used to be around my home, but it looks at you and smiles, and it says, but I'm not part of that nation.
Mm-hmm.
And thus, my dear prince, you will find no fealty from me.
Well, that's okay.
I guess
We're all part of one kingdom now, under our noble, if slightly insane, emperor.
I've seen many nobles and many emperors, and rarely are they actually noble. But I guess they can be noble in blood, if not noble in heart. The heavens have a way of punishing those who aren't noble.
All right. Let's open this door.
Yes, you get to the door. And it says, before the door, you must say, Jabadak, you spineless worm, open the door. And Jabadak's spirit will be compelled to, by its binding magic, to open the door. But it will know that you're there. Mainly because I wanted it to know when I came into its domain. Just so I could show it just how useless it was. Is anyone worried that this might be a possible trap? I mean,
Oh, don't worry. It most definitely is.
I mean, if it's a trap,
I made
the
him a
alternative-
nice sculpture. How can he trap me?
You're right.
Entrapment.
It's mode of the sand.
It appears like it's genuinely amused by what it caused the door's password to need to be. And it also appears that it wants it. You think that its motivation for letting you through is both to honor the contract, but also to further reinforce to Jabadak that its power has waned if mortals can just come in and out of its forced domain. especially carrying one of the greatest treasures of its hoard. Mhm. Oh, you're the first in 4,400 years. Because no one's thought to ask.
There's another group
Because
that
I
might think,
erased most of the knowledge of this place.
there's another group that may think to ask in a short amount of time. They're not quite as lovely as this group, so
They're kind of stupid.
I see you have your own rivals, juicy
Mhm.
gossip. Now tell me, who's the leader of your rival group so I can know to be aware?
Hugin something. Or
Tian
something
Hugin.
huge. Tian Huge.
That's me saying meta-wise.
Yeah.
Not the dragon. Not the dragon telling you who your rival is. Yeah, I know. And it goes. I haven't actually done that much maintenance around this door. I just know the enchantments work. Who knows what? I don't actually really know what's gone on inside. The last time I went inside was 20 years ago. So it shrugs. It's not like the thing can get through the door. And even if it could get through the door, its soul isn't even in one piece. Only a fragment would get out. I would crush it. It sets down a draconic hoof onto the ground. As it says, it will crush it. So, mhm. Oh, I do recall briefly skimming through the book. I think that you can use it piecemeal, as it were. So you just want to go in, read it, and then walk out? An even greater humiliation. I like it. Make sure you take something out of its hoard that's actually valuable. I left about half of, not half. I left some of its hoard so it could look at its gold, but feel it.
Don't worry, we have bags of holding.
Good. I do need to warn you. With any great concentration of magic, soul magic, it seems to wave its hand as just magic in general. The longer it's left going, the more likely there are effects for the area around it. So sometimes things like coin scarabs, or sometimes creatures get spawned just through large concentrations. So just beware. You seem like nice people. You seem like pretty people. You seem like people I want to keep alive. So please don't die. If you die in there, your soul is unlikely to get to whatever afterlife you try to get to.
Try to stay alive, at least until after we get out.
Yes, and if you need some kind of resurrection, you'd have to do it inside again. Just because I've designed it so no souls get out. I just thought it would be a nice friendly morning. You seem like nice people.
Well, gee, thanks.
So do you have any more questions for the dragon?
Don't think so.
I tell the dragon that when we get back, I want to hear the inspiration for its version of the Phoenix Queen.
Oh, yes. The regalia. Well,
Because I feel like a dragon as old and powerful as him might have first-hand knowledge.
Okay.
Phoenix
So
cult.
I actually want to see if I actually wrote down where the Phoenix Queen stuff was in the timeline. Well, if I wrote it down in a public place. This timeline of the Emperor. Oh. Yeah, Phoenix Queen. Okay. It goes well. I'll have to tell you when you get out. Consider that a reward if you sufficiently humiliate the ghost of my rival.
Of course.
Well, let me leave you here, and I'll be off. Oh, and it says before it turns, beware the guardian scorpion, as it leaves.
The guardian scorpion? What did you say? So I'm getting some major robot voice right now.
The guardian scorpion, it says, as
The
it
guardian
leaves you
squirrel?
at the sand.
Scorpion.
Scorpion, okay. The louder you talk, the more robotic it gets, but I got it.
Beep boop beep.
Guardian robot.
001.
So I guess I would have you guys. It is approaching 10. I don't think I can actually get a combat in. I didn't know how long you talked with the dragon, so I planned the next 2 encounters. So yes, it appears like as you guys get onto the get near the sand, you see it starting to shift. And I think, and a claw bursts out and strikes. And I think I'll do the cliffhanger there.
Okay.
Oh, the dragon turned around and left. So, I understand that today's session was a lot of talky, intrigue. So I hope that was okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
But in the next few sessions, you guys are going to be going into a hostile demi-plane controlled by the fragments of a dead and hateful blue dragon.
That just sounds like a really terrible idea.
Well, you would do anything for power.